questions made easy with Scott. Now we are going to use our handy dandy question solving template that I created. If you don't have it, get it out, pause the video, get it out right now. Let's use it, all right? So here we go. Step one, it's always to align ourselves with the question. Read the last sentence. What is it directing us to do? Let's do it together. Before a project team member starts working on these new features, what is a mandatory step? So is that saying what we should have done in the past, what we're doing next, or what we're doing right now? That says what we're doing next. Like, what is the next mandatory step before we go into these next actions? All right. So before we start working on it, so we know number one, it's saying what should we do next? Sweet. Let's go to B. That's understand. Go back to the base of the question. Slow down. Read it for context. Let's go figure it out. All right. So here we go. A customer is contemplating adding new features to the project deliverable. Before a project team member starts working on these new features, what is a mandatory next step? All right, so new features. Like, do you think this, first of all, is a waterfall, agile, or hybrid project? What do you think? I think these new features might say, well, I don't know. Let's think about these new features. Like, it could lead me to go into the hybrid or agile world, but I think it's more of like, possibly waterfall. I think it leads to waterfall because the customer's contemplating adding new features. Let's see what happens as we go through. Now, what are the key words in here? We need to figure it out. So mandatory next steps. It's asking us what the formal procedures are. We're adding new features. So we're adding to the scope of our project. We got to figure out how we can handle this. Like, what is the scope or change related processes? That's what we're trying to do. All right, so those are kind of the key words as we go through here. Now, let's assert what we think the problem is, all right, and what we think we do. So, problem, what do you think? In your own words, pause the video, say what you think it would be in your own words. What's the problem? All right, so I think the problem or the issue here is, hey, the customer's got a really good idea, good idea or bad idea. They got an idea for a new feature into here. We got to make sure before we send our people off, let's make sure that we follow the processes, that we handle change the right way. So the question here is asking, how do you handle change? If you really want to know how to cut this question up and how to decipher it, it's called the question with 1,000 faces. In my advanced question solving techniques, I break how to do this question every single way because there's a ton of questions just like this. So go check that video out. All right. And so what we want to do is we'd say, what will we do in real life? Well, if it's an agile project, we want to maintain the backlog. We want to go to evaluate it, get it in sprint planning, make sure that we nail it down, put it into the process, hand it to a sprint and go forth. That's how we'd handle it there. Not a big deal. If it's waterfall, we want to go through the change control process. Whoo, that's a big one. Gotta stick to our guns and go through the change control process. So if we think it's waterfall, that's what we're going to do. Change control. Now, let's go through number 4 and let's evaluate each answer by itself. All right, here we go. Number A, would we, to manage this change in the new feature, gain approval from the project manager? Tell me if you think that's what we do. Yes, no, and why? Pause, go. All right, so gaining approval from the project manager. You may think like, I rule the roost. I'm the project manager. I can do this. No. It is not your responsibility once we've established a baseline. Your responsibility is to move the project through, to get the people moving, but to handle big changes that affect our baselines, it is not the project manager's responsibility to do that. It is not your purview or your authority, I'll say more correctly, to just say, oh yeah, good idea, let's do it, expand the project or shrink the project. No. So we are going to kill A. Don't like it for those reasons. Let's go to B. Now, gain approval from the project sponsor. That seems better. If it's not us, let's put it up, right? Let's put it to the sponsor. No, we're not going to do that because while the sponsor does approve the baselines in waterfall, they may sit on the change control board, but it is the change control board that does approve it. So nope, going against that. And now we're into C, ensure the change control board approves. Bingo. That's the process that we want to go for. There's going to be 1,000 types of questions, not literally, but a lot on the exam that are going to ask you the same thing. You've got to always lean toward change control. So I'm liking this. Let's put a little smiley face there. Yay. And then let's go to D. Maybe it's super fantastic. Ensure key subject matter experts approve. Wouldn't you want to know that the people that know like it? Sure, you want their opinion to get it framed up, But in reality, if they like it and the change control doesn't like it, we're not doing it. All right. So hard decisions are made by the change control board. That's what we're saying. Let's go ahead to step 5 and decide. Let's go. I like C. All right. Yeah. C. I like C. You want to do it? Let's do it. Booyah. We got it right. Always go through the change control board when we're expanding or contracting scope, schedule, cost, baselines. That's the rule of the road, right? Now, what can we learn? You got to nail down the processes for change. Believe me. Like I said, I have really distinct and detailed videos on how to manage change in our advanced question solving techniques and all through the Accelerator. So go through those videos. But you got to know that when we're in the waterfall world, we do not, as the project manager, have the authority to expand and contract the scope. We do not ask the sponsor to expand and contract the scope or the baseline, any of the baselines. All right. We have to go to the change control board. So this is really good learning for you. Brush up on that change control. It's going to pay super dividends on the exam. All right, go for it.